to our Signal Media Executive Interview Series. I'm Kimberly Underwood, Director of Digital News Media at AFCEA International's Signal Magazine. Welcome to our episode, which is sponsored by Nokia, entitled The Story of Banshee, How Combat Veterans and Nokia Developed a Game-Changing Tactical Comm Solution for the Warfighter. Today, I'm speaking with Mike Loomis, General Manager of the Federal Division of Nokia USA, and Dave Peterson, the CEO of Fenix Group, Inc. And they have exciting news to share about the Fenix Group acquisition. And Dave, let's turn to you first. You're a combat veteran. What's the story behind Fenix Group and how did it come to be?
Yeah, so we're kind of a quintessential former special operations group of guys and gals who got together a little over 7 years ago to fix some problems that we found while we were in uniform overseas. Um, we started in my garage, just myself and what little money that I had in the bank, and the idea for Fenix Group was really born of problems that we encountered with military communications in combat. Specifically, right around the time I started the company, we started to get a lot of sensor platforms delivered overseas in the form of drones and ground sensors and things like that. And we had no way to communicate with those sensors or receive the data coming from them directly. It was all uh, third party, so it was transferred somewhere else before it came back to us. So that's a problem that we wanted to fix. It's very much like the vision that you see at JADC2. And we started with kind of just a dream on how we could fix it. And there were some other things, specifically with communications in Syria when we were there, that informed our decision making on which direction we wanted to go. And that specifically is before Ukraine, before a lot of the talk about fighting against a near peer, we experienced what it's like to bump up against very technically adept enemy forces who could jam your communications at will. And we wanted to fix those problems as well.
Right, sure. And I can see how kind of, those experiences, helped shape the kind of solutions you wanted to deliver. And can you kind of go into what is your mission at Fenix Group and kind of, how you're keeping the warfighter in mind as you go forward?
Yeah, sure. We certainly didn't start the company to go make millions of dollars in enterprise. We still kind of think of ourselves as warriors, and that's where our hearts are. That's why we started the company, is to provide some overmatch advantage to them. So our mission is to reduce cost, increase situational awareness, and multimodal communications in a battlefield environment, and give troops access to the sensors that are supposed to be supporting them directly. So in the military, you have multiple echelons of communications, command and control. Typically, you have very exquisite sensors that cost a lot of money. Maybe they're on an airborne platform. The people on the ground that need that sensor data feed don't get it. It typically goes to um, trained subject matter experts that are somewhere else, and then the information is relayed to the combatant commander remotely and manually. So that is our focus and our mission, is getting data and intelligence to the people that need it right now before our enemies have had a chance to get inside of our OODA loop or do the same with their own intelligence. And that gives our warfighters an advantage. And that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, nice. Can we delve into Banshee? Can you tell us what it is? What are the main features? And I
Mhm.
guess we'll go from there. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So when we started the company, we didn't really have any defense funding. We didn't have a product. So what we did was we worked with the defense research houses, um, and there are plenty of them. One of my favorites is the Defense Innovation Unit. DIU is great. Um, we worked with the defense research houses to come up with some solutions to the ubiquitous jamming problem, the ubiquitous geolocation problem. Those are no longer uh, capabilities that the U.S. government enjoys exclusively. Um, our future adversaries have those capabilities as well. And so we partnered with DoD to build a product, and this is really how we got into working with Nokia. And we took parallel paths. We set out with a software-defined radio experiment and a 3GPP, no kidding, telecommunications radio that had billions of dollars behind it in terms of research and development. And it's something that normal Americans use every single day and just sort of take for granted. It had never been implemented in the defense space because of security issues or impressions that it couldn't be transferred over to defense. So it took a couple of years and quite a bit of money to finalize, but what we ended up with is a Nokia-based product where we've taken a telecommunications device, a radio, that has multiple bands of communication capabilities already within it. And then we added military radios that the US Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force already have, as well as edge compute capability. And that was important for us because what we learned in Syria was satellite communication doesn't always work in a near peer fight. And we watched DoD go into this gov cloud space and host all their mission critical services in the cloud. And that's wonderful. I think it's a great capability that the warfighter needs, but you have to have a backup plan. We learned that firsthand in combat. When SATCOM goes away, you still have to enable mission command. So that's what we set out to do. And what we ended up with was a family or a suite of products in partnership with Nokia. And this is, gosh, I think we've been working together for 5+ years now. We took a base COTS product that Nokia makes, and we modified the heck out of it and made it DoD telecom. That's basically what we did. So with Banshee, you can go to austere environments. You can turn the system on, and I can connect hundreds of soldiers to that radio with nothing more than a SIM card. They don't need a $20,000 specialized radio to pass data. We're giving them more bandwidth and more capacity than they've ever had before. So all of the things that you read about in the vision for JADC2 and Project Convergence and programs that are ongoing, that's what we built Banshee to do before those programs were in existence. And we're now at the point where we're starting to get some real momentum behind us. We're in multiple nations. We're in Australia, in the UK. We're in multiple NATO partner military forces, and we're also getting quite a bit of traction within DoD itself. We started in SOCOM. That's who we know. That's where we bled. We love those folks, and now big DoD is taking an interest in what we're doing, especially as 5G has so much attention on it in DoD. All of the folks that are spending money on 5G are I think struggling to figure out what to do with it, and it's all about tactical applications and tactical relevance. So that's the vision for joining with Nokia, is to take what we've done and just pour gas on the fire and take it to the next level and really scale this thing to meet the needs of the warfighter.
Right, sure. And Mike, from your perspective, Dave kind of talked about how they leveraged Nokia's technology to create Banshee and kind of the line of products. Can you, excuse me, can you share from your perspective kind of how you saw that being leveraged and kind of, Nokia, from Nokia's point of view?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. In general, with Nokia, we're always looking to create value in the communications market. We're a big R&D shop. We got lots and lots of engineers across lots of different product lines, with cellular being one of our largest. And we want to leverage those engineers in R&D to innovate and bring meaningful value into the customers. And we looked at that tactical 3GPP market, and we thought, wow, this is a really fantastic market for us to bring some of that to bear. But, how do we do it? And looking at that market, we came in later to the game, obviously, than Dave did. But we looked at the mission statement of programs like JADC2, and they were pretty clear. We want to revolutionize the way that our forces communicate in a contested environment. We want to bring a lot of bandwidth to bear, and we want to get an information overmatch. And if you look at our history, we've done this a few times, and notably in one area that a lot of people can relate to, and I think applies very well as an analogy, is if you look back on the 3G area, or 3G era, easy for you to say, consumers were there, and we had a voice comms, and we had a little bit of data, just enough to make you want more. And I would say that's exactly where DoD is in the tactical communication systems. 4G LTE came in and completely changed that. We moved all the capacity that you'd normally have in an office environment or your home desktop and put it on your cellular device. And if we can do that securely, in a resilient manner, in a robust and scalable manner, which are all the attributes that we brought to the consumer market, but secure is at a different level in the tactical environment. Maybe resiliency is as well, but we thought we can really be a game changer, and that's a big market. And so it's a market that we really wanted to focus on, one we identified when we said, hey, we want to get into defense. If I look at what Fenix did, they took our radios and they kind of built a hot rod. If you think about like 50s cars, they took a stock car and modified it and built this awesomely cool looking hot rod, and just showed the beginning of the art of the possible. And from our perspective, we want to bring in Fenix to Nokia and build a proper race car, like a NASCAR or F1, and put the weight of the R&D into Fenix's hands, and build a meaningful solution that's got great capability, that meets all of the attributes that are required by DoD, really make it fit for purpose. And to do that, I think, there is room to create and there is room to innovate, which are the kinds of markets we want to go into. So it was an easy choice from our perspective to jump in with Fenix.
Right. And so the big news is that you're acquiring Fenix. Can you walk us through that acquisition decision, and kind of, why it's important and why right now?
Well, sure. The decision process was a few of us, champions, we kind of locked in. We knew, hey, right away, we want to go do this. But in any public company or, large organization, there's a lot of diligence that's required, and, business case activity. And we did a lot of that jointly with Dave and his team. That process took a bit of time. We were pretty thorough in it. So not a lot of people in Nokia really understood this market right away. And so there was a lot of people that we had to go, talk about why this is an opportunity. And, we did that together. And fortunately, Dave and his team created a lot of proof points, which made that process a lot easier. Why now is driven by the customer and the market. And that's always the case. And one thing that happened with US DoD is they put a strategy paper out in 2020 around 5G strategy, and that was eye-opening for a lot of people in our business, and it caused other investments inside Nokia, and I imagine other telecommunications companies. But in that paper they said, hey, 5G is close enough. I talked about that 3G to 4G really being geared to the consumer, and not that 5G doesn't bring value to the consumer. It absolutely does. But it's accepted that 5G is really the beginning of a transition of bringing cellular to enterprises, and DoD is the biggest enterprise. So, and they also have the coolest use cases, for bandwidth. So they wrote about that in that paper, and said that the requirements for the military have sufficiently converged with the requirements of the industry for us to look at dual use technology here. And dual use technology gives us the benefit of leveraging that investment and getting some economic benefit for the systems that the DoD might acquire. And they laid that right out in the paper. So the customer's looking at it. They put it out there in the paper. We started looking at it. So then we started investigating the market. And I think the proof points that Dave's company and the Fenix Group have done is they've showed not just at the strategy level within DoD that this is a good thing. They've proven it at the small unit level. And you can connect the dots then quickly between the big thinkers in DARPA and OUSD R&E to the folks that have practical experience, maybe in a small unit over in SOCOM or wherever, and connect the dots pretty quickly that we can create some value. And when we saw that, it was like, okay, let's go. Because when you can see the value being created, it's a good place to invest and the business case will follow.
And Dave, from your perspective, what made Nokia a good partner to go through with this acquisition? And kind of, can you walk through on the decision-making side from Fenix, why you wanted to go through with it?
Yeah, well, we did our homework as well. So going all the way back to when we first got into prototyping some of these systems, we looked around at the telecommunications market and we tested a whole slew of radios that were out there in terms of COTS equipment. And we chose Nokia, and so did the government. When we were in testing, Nokia made the only multimodal small cell in existence. And that was very, very attractive to the US government. And what we were able to do with it, with Nokia's blessing, was a good technical and cultural match for us. And so over, half a decade of working together, we kind of knew that this was going to happen someday, that, it's very difficult for a small firm to scale within DoD alone. And we were approached by multiple primes who asked if we would sell, but it wasn't a good fit. It was a terrible technical fit, or it wasn't a good cultural fit. And what I've learned in running a company in the defense space for quite some time now, and in the intelligence community and the Marine Corps before that, primes don't innovate. They'll buy innovation, but all too often innovation dies after the acquisition. And it's extremely important to not only me, but my leadership team that we partnered with a firm who does innovation every single day. And that's what Nokia is. We came to trust and like the Nokia Federal team, almost like they were part of our company. So when the idea was introduced to us, I don't think anyone even had a second thought about it. It was just getting through the diligence process and making sure that everything was going to work out.
Yeah, and that kind of culture and the technology matching up, that's so important, especially given what's at stake. And so I'm pleased to hear, you kind of have that that ability to collaborate on both sides. Can you walk us through, now that you've announced the acquisition, walk us through your next steps and your goals with this collaboration? And
Sure,
Mike, I guess I'll go to you.
Yeah, I'll start. The first thing that we're doing is now that we've officially announced, certainly there's work to do with the federal government. So Nokia's a foreign-owned company, and the very first step is to work with CFIUS and the DCSA. Fortunately, as part of that 2020 white paper, Nokia recognized that we want to collaborate with the US DoD, and we want to lean into their desires to leverage 5G technology. And we launched Nokia Federal, which is a intent of Nokia to become a FOCI mitigated entity. It's a US-based subsidiary of Nokia. And when we've started that process in really 2021, but in earnest 2022, and have made a lot of progress in 2023. It takes a long time. But we've been working, hand in hand with the U.S. government to get this entity stood up and get a facilities clearance within Nokia Federal. And so we have to work through a certainly that getting the two companies together and our ability to work on programs that require clearances. And so that's step one. Step two, we can work together and collaborate in a non-classified way, and we'll do that immediately. And the big thing there is getting Dave and his team some exposure to the R&D teams and vice versa over on our radio side, and that work is happening. And that's going to lay the groundwork for the next generation of the Banshee product, which from Dave giving us requirements, we've been able to lean in on our investments, and Dave can kind of see what it is we might be able to build. So he's leaned in a little bit on his side already. And so hopefully it's not going to be a very long time. In fact, I'm not going to pre-announce any products here, but it won't be like us starting from zero to go get a next generation system together with the Fenix Group. And that's what we're here to do.
And Dave, any goals on your side?
Yeah, definitely. So one of our immediate goals is, while Nokia is working through their FCL process, we're going to be releasing a new version of the Banshee product that will sustain us for a little while. And then engineering is going to be making a very hard press to integrate with the Nokia Federal team, specifically the engineering folks that Nokia has at their disposal. It's one of the greatest benefits that I see in joining forces with Nokia is we have thousands and thousands of engineers now who are available, who are experts in telecommunications, who we can work with to build fit for purpose systems that directly support the warfighter. On our team, I'm not the smart guy. I am surrounded by much more intelligent people than I am. I couldn't do anything that I've done alone, but our engineers are all pretty excited about the prospect of getting deep into the weeds with Nokia's engineers and building a system that I don't think the government expects, but I think they'll be very pleasantly surprised to see what we come up with in the coming. Well, I won't put a timeline on it either, Mike, but what we're doing next is going to be game changing. So I'm excited about it. We all are. None of us are going anywhere. We're here for the same reasons we were when we started this firm, and that's to support people in uniform.
Right, sure. That sounds amazing. And I can only imagine kind of the engineering of this next generation kind of solution that you all are going to come up with together. Were there any other goals that you'd like to share, long term, 2 to 4 years? Where would you kind of like to be together?
I'll go first this time.
Yeah, go ahead,
Mike,
Dave.
if you don't
You
mind.
do a better job. Yeah.
Yeah. So my goal for this thing, and here's yet another reason why it made sense to join forces with Nokia. While we're highly focused and directly focused on the Department of Defense today, we know that the next fight will be with our allies, and we will need their support maybe more than we have in previous conflicts. So we're looking to scale this thing to our NATO and Five Eyes partners and present a capability that can go global and also have enterprise opportunity, right? So it is a dual use product, and there may be situations out there. We're already working with a very large fire department in the United States, for instance. So the first responder market is something that we're interested in capturing globally with Nokia. That's something that we'll definitely need their help with, and we're getting to know the team. That's the first step in integration, and then as we go through product cycle development, getting it out there into people's hands. That's what we're focused on today.
I think from my perspective, I'm really looking forward to seeing the realization of the capability that Davis started with the Banshee product in becoming mainstream in DoD, and that's not just like the bandwidth. Certainly, that's what we'll do is we'll go provide a secure network capability, wireless network capability, and all that other great stuff. but seeing how it's used is going to be pretty exciting.
Those were all my questions. Is there anything else you guys wanted to share or highlight?
I don't know. I felt like I got through all the key points I wanted to. I'm looking forward to working with Dave and the team. It's been a lot of fun working together as partners. I'm really happy to be working together under the same roof.
Likewise, we're all very excited. The entire team is pumped to get going into 2024 with a new leadership team under Mike's leadership. I couldn't be happier that this was the result of 7 years of grinding, and introducing a new capability to DoD is tough sometimes. It takes a long time to gain adoption, but the timing is right for this. So we're all very happy. Thanks for the time.
Right. Thank you both for walking through that, and all the best with your collaboration, and can't wait to see where you all take next generation tactical communications. It's very exciting.